Good morning, January the 27th, 2016, and we awakened this morning with crude down a bunch. The APIs had a build of 11.4 million barrels. Today's EIA report are looking for plus 3.3 build in crude. So crude is selling, and crude, the stock market is, especially early in the session, and Globex is lockstep with crude oil, whichever way it's going to make the move. So crude is pointed lower. The stock market has been trading lower overnight. Around the globe, all equity markets are lower except for China's. The dollar's down, dollar's up for a day, then down for a day. So the normal trading relationships are in effect. I thought we got really good resistance at 28 to the buck, and this would be the desired sell zone. So we started off with our sell at 27, but we're at 20 right now, so the sell might be 23 or better. I'd like to buy the 13 to 17 area. Thought that they could trade below Globex, come back down and retest this support area right here, this volume at 16, and would like to lean against that volume if at all possible. So we've got a volume node up here, and we've got a volume node up here. The market usually skips one volume node. So my idea is that while support does begin at 20, best support begins at 16, and I'd like to trade against that if possible. So buy 1, 13 to 17, buy 2, 5 to 9. On the sell side, I got a question mark at 23. I think we can do better. We've got volume at 26, so a structural sell would be 25.5. A limit sell against that. Top of value would be a sell at 28. So we had S1 at 27 to 31, S2 at 3 to 7. And we'll see how it plays. The overnight news, again, we have more articles on about what the market looks like before the previous bear markets. Everybody's kind of chiming in. JP Morgan probably has the most following with their announcements from their quant, who has been better than good at calling the market turns. He's basically on the same page. The risk of the downside are greater than upside, sell into rallies. Today's news, new home sales, 500K. I don't have a feeling, based on the underlying economic news, the reported home sales, existing home sales, pending home sales, permits and starts has been higher than I expected. So new home sales, which is the most smoothed, not spoofed, but smoothed of the numbers that come out of the housing sector, could actually come in higher than 500,000. Again, the current economy doesn't support that, but crude, I can't read my own writing. It's either 3.8, maybe it's up 3.8, not 3.3. And then FOMC. FOMC tends to freeze the market. Today, the no rate change, the Fed's projections for the December announcement had next rate increase coming in March. But they're going to look and see whether the language in the announcement is dovish or hawkish. And maybe that'll hold us in check. 5-year auction today. We like to sell into the second auction in Globex. And we had yesterday's sell failure to take out 28 to 29, 129 even, so that's worked out pretty well. The intermediate term auction is usually the weak one, so we'll see if that plays today. So I think we can buy it a little cheaper is the bottom line. And we'll play for that. But support does start at 20, so our buying against that high volume number is 16. We'll see if we can do that or not. Structurally, that is the trade. Okay, gold's off a little bit overnight. Pretty strong yesterday, all things considered. Did not rally, did not sell early with the rally, and The E-mini managed to hold the gains, and we're going to do a C-split right here to pick it up so we can see we rejected prices below 15. So 15 is support. We'll make 14 to 16 by 1. Then 11 to 09 by 2. And resistance starts at 22. We're currently at 19, so 20 to 22, sell 1. 24, 26, sell 2. Dollars off overnight. China was not officially involved in their currency markets last night, so no reaction from the euro to what's going on in China, but the yuan is headed lower, and it's headed lower because China wants it lower so they can defend their export markets. China became the world's largest manufacturer because they were willing to pollute everything and they could do it at a lower price. Shows you the value of central planning, right? So do a London split, do an X split right here. Market is pointed up, 109.10, 925. Might be a little optimistic, but market is pointed higher. Sell 1, 950, sell 2. On the buy side, 875, then 850. Okay, crude. When a market bottoms, and it usually takes 30 to 45 days for a retest of the low, and you usually get a pretty good rally out of the off the low, and then it comes back over the course of a month and a half to retest those particular lows. So what we look for on the charts is this dishing out effect, and it can take a long time. But V bottoms and V tops are usually associated with news, or the price is just so low that people will buy it and they'll store it. But right now above ground storage is full, and that's the element that's missing. So we'll have to see what happens. So the dishing out effect is kind of what we're looking for right now. 31 and a quarter, sell 1. The APIs with a build of 11.4 million barrels is very, very bearish. Sell 2, 50 to 75. On the buy side, 30 and a quarter. It's where support is. Would like to get it done below 30. Might see some short covering before the inventory announcement. They did not really react all that much to the API numbers, and that used to be the number back in the 90s, 80s and 90s that drove the market. It wasn't a government report, but these guys take over everything given time. They stake out and mark their turf, and then they make sure that if you don't pay attention to it, you get fined, you get harassed, you get something. I mean, it is insidious when you look at what's gone on. And I always thought that their lives were so screwed up and so disordered so that they try to gain meaning to their life by imposing stuff on other people and taking over and running their lives. And it gets worse every damn decade, from my opinion. From my standpoint. I don't mean that my opinion is correct, but that's just, I just see them as a bunch of miserable little busybodies that got to make sure that your life is as miserable as theirs. But that's one man's opinion. E-mini. We've got volume at 90. We don't have a lot of rejection up here. 1902. This is the only rejection that you can see. We had this start in J period the other day. Right here, we took those stops out. So if we come back in and we rearrange the data, you do J, you would combine this, you would do a T, and I'm going to do an I for last night because that was the high, just to see where we do have some rejection, and we have rejection, looks like at 98 on this. So doing a London split, pretty square with volume in the bottom half of the distribution, so everything is really kind of pointing towards a sell this morning. And the hope is that the FOMC statement is dovish, so we can buy stocks again. 99 to 04 where we were yesterday. 90 to 95 for the first sell. On the buy side, I think we can go a little lower. We're trying to notch lower. We've got this volume all the way down at 67. I've got a low volume number at 81 that has already been breached. So my high volume number down here starts at 76. So 71, 76, buy one. And then 60, 65, buy two. Today's news, new home sales, 500K. Crude inventories, plus 3.8. And FOMC. If you haven't read that book, Nudge, by Cass Sunstein, who was appointed Director of Information or something by Obama for a while in his administration. We have been under that new thinking in economics and social behaviors that we don't have to put a gun to your head. We can just nudge you through incentives. Like the high cost of energy will make you downsize your housing or your automobiles. And a lot of what has been done over the last 8 years has been based on that idea of just kind of nudging or gently guiding you into their behavior or what they've defined as good behavior. But it's a pretty interesting book in light of what's gone on in the government over the last 8 years. Okay, it's going to take a bit to get everything up and posted. I'm going to get busy on that. I will be back with you as soon as possible.